In the book of Numbers 35, the Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan at Jericho, saying, "Command the people of Israel to give to the Levites some of the inheritance of their possession for cities for them to dwell in. And he shall give to the Levites pasture lands around the cities. The cities shall be theirs to dwell in, and their pasture lands shall be for their cattle and their livestock and for all their beasts. The pasture lands of the cities which shall give to the Levites shall reach from the wall of the city outward 1,000 cubits, which is 1,500 feet around, and 2,000 cubits on the east, 2,000 on the west, the south, blah, blah, blah." Huge piece of land. And also give how many cities to the Levites? First of all, I'm just astounded how much God cares for the priests, the Levites. The Levites are dedicated in the house to the house of God. Their job is to worship, to lead the people. Basically, for instance, they sing worship and they play musical instruments. I guess they perform, priest, which sacrifices, etc. I just want to capture that, how much God instituted the nation of Israel as a community to take care of their priests, the Levites. In the same way, God has instituted us today in the church of Lord Jesus Christ to take care of the priests in the church, the pastors, and the full-time staff that serve the community of the church. And that's why Paul said, don't the workers of the gospel deserve to get from the gospel? He's taking himself as a case in point. He said, don't muzzle the ox while it's trading the grain. In other words, don't close the mouth of the ox while it's doing the trading of the grains, doing the work. The ox is supposed to eat from the grains. That's a way to feed the pastors and the full-time staff in those areas. Okay, so that's where the concept runs in parallel. The difference is today there is no such directions and in quantitative measure from the Lord on us. It is astounding that the Lord measures 1,500 feet long too, and then 3,000 feet on the south, the east, and the west, and give the land a pasture land, so that these Levites, they can plant their vegetables and raise their cattle. That's important because they feed on the so the livelihood is taken care of. Today, these points are very potent issue of today's churches today, because we too have to look after our pastors and staff so that they can raise their children. We don't have the land for them to raise their cattle. I wish we did. That it would be pretty amazing. That the pastors can have a parsonage, a house to live in. I think some more mainline denominations have that. That's really very, very nice. Especially in New York City, mortgage and rental of the house rental takes 50% of the pay on the regular basis. So if you take care of that, you can actually, afford to pay less. The pastor can actually raise their family in that way. The pastors generally are underpaid, what I see. It's just, it doesn't sort of reward that much. I know Paul never got paid. He's the most gung-ho guy I've ever seen. Paul doesn't fit into the Levites picture of what the Lord said. Paul just go all out church planting, and when he needs money, he go and make tent and sell tent making ministry, which I've been doing for the last decade or more. So I've been doing pastoring and teaching for the last few years that I have been doing. I don't get paid from the church in the days back in Malaysia, but here in the U.S. when I preach, I get some very basic remuneration. It's like a what do you call the honorarium. And so that's how Paul did it. And Paul is an extraordinary apostle. Not many people can do what Paul did. It's just, if God has given grace for me to do that, I'll do it. It's not about how much you get paid per se. It's more about how much fruit you can produce. I'd rather have a very low or no remuneration like Paul, but man, I'm changing the world like Paul. He is changing the world. He changed the entire civilization, the guy. And he got zero pay. But it doesn't change the fact that the church needs to look after the pastors and stuff. Just like what God said in Numbers 35 to Moses, command. You see that? The Lord said to Moses in the plains of Moab, by the Jordan at Jericho, command the people of Israel to give to the Levites some of the inheritance of possession of cities for them to dwell in. So everybody got a piece of land, except the Levites. So now God told them, everybody share and gives a portion of the land to the Levites. It's a different context because they all are given land from the land that they conquered. So God really wants to take care of the pastors and the staff.